Scott and New Leaf. Scott and so the only thing is, we're all on the same page about not being all over the world. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to First Parish Brewster. We are a Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregation of people of diverse philosophies and beliefs, people of various cultures and races, sexual orientations, gender identities, abilities, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your path, may this be a place of rest and restoration on your journey. I am Lindsay Strauss, happy to be leading worship today with our Interim Director of Children and Youth Ministries, Deb Salko, and returning accompanist, Lucy Banner. Our services are recorded and available on our YouTube channel this week, midweek. Please silence your cell phones. Silence. In an effort to be more welcoming, we ask that all wear their name tags or fill out the sticker name tags, which you can get at the welcome desk. We also welcome the noises, movements, and mirth, I love that word, of that little ones bring to our service. Looks like we have at least one little mirth maker, two mirth makers. Our services are 60 to 75 minutes. I may run a little long. This is a little longer. It's kind of a dense service, sermon, so it may run a little long. And if you need to leave before we're done, you may exit at the back of the sanctuary. For those of you who are first-time visitors, do we have any first-time visitors? Thank you, welcome. And those who are, it's going to be available on streaming, let's say hello to the people streaming. And if you'd like to know more about FPBUU, please fill out a welcome card, find on the back of the pew in front of you, and place it in the offertory basket when we get to that point in the service. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read the community news in the Angle this week, so I'm not going to repeat anything that's in there. But I do want to repeat one thing, or two things actually, because next Sunday, as many of you, or all of you should know, is the final service for our interim minister, Reverend Karen Anderson. And she will explore the wisdom of Garrison Keeler, who had a lot of wisdom, and lift up the beauty of us as best we can, and she will continue to explore June's theme of freedom by examining two case studies of trust challenged and restored in a service entitled Commitment of the Heart. And of course, directly after that service, please join us on the lawn of Winslow House for a farewell reception for Reverend Karen. And of course, following our service today, everyone is invited to join us in the parish room directly through that door for conversation and coffee. Welcome on this morning, which we make sacred by our presence. It is so good to be together.
vulture eagle. You know, the eagle's born to fly. Now that I have won my freedom, like an eagle, I am eager for the sky. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Knowing everything's gonna be alright, it's gonna be okay. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Oh, and everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Oh, and everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
We're going to do something a little different here. A little different. Is this working? Yeah. Opening words this morning, I'm going to talk about people protesting. And we're going to go all the way back to, I think, the earliest in this congregation of people who are present today, and that's the civil rights protests of the 1960s. And I want to just start out by giving Kip Keene the opportunity to tell a little vignette about an experience that she had in August of 1963, and that might give you a clue as to what she was doing. Kip?
I was a junior in college at the time, and had a 61 Volkswagen, and the school had people who, it was a school where you had to stay in at night, and they had people come around and check and make sure you were in. So after the check-in on that Saturday night, 4 of us escaped in my Volkswagen, and we went down to Washington for the I Had a Dream, and we were there, and then we snuck back in, got caught, and were penalized.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have people stand as I talk about some of the protests as we go forward and chronologically. So in addition to Kip, who here, and you stand if you are able, participated in civil rights protests in the 60s? Anybody besides Kip? You can stand. And remain standing. So going forward, we have the women's rights. Keep standing, because we're going to have just about everybody here standing, and then I'm going to do something. Yeah. So then we have the women's rights protests. Are there any additional people who did women's rights? How about gun control? Anybody else? LGBT, gay rights, additional people? And then we're going to, and I may be missing some, and I apologize. Nuclear power, the Pilgrim plant, environmental, Earth Day. Oh yes. Or anti-war Vietnam, and I'm standing. So if there are additional people, and I don't want to slow things down too much, but I participated in the Harvard Square riots of April 1970 before Kent State, and we marched from Boston Common down Mass Ave to Harvard Square and occupied Harvard Square. And unfortunately, I was not among them, but there were people who were throwing rocks into SDS people were throwing rocks and stuff like that. We were trying to tell them not to do that, which is, of course, good advice for the protesters now. So now we're getting to the point where we can talk about yesterday. Who was, in addition to everybody who was standing, who was at the Lower Cape Pride celebration yesterday afternoon? And it's so incredible to see all those hands and smiling faces and hands raised of the people at First Parish, because I think we had an incredible turnout. What about the No Kings protest? Are there any additional people? See, a lot of you did double duty. I had to come back and work on my sermon, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to be at both. So look around you and just see how interested in social justice we all are. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is why we come to church. Because we are a socially, well, you remain standing, because one more, okay, like a puppet going up and down. This is why this church is so special, and why you are all so special, and why we have strength in numbers and being with each other. So now, before we do our first hymn, please greet your neighbor. So now we're going to sing, remain standing, our first hymn in the teal hymnal, Building a New Way, hymn 1017.
We are
Pride Month, and this is Lower Cape Pride Weekend. And in honor of that, and quite frankly, to deal with the tragedy in Minnesota, I'm going to ask anybody who identifies as trans or non-binary, and I know there's some people, at least Finn, to come up and help light the chalice, and if Ricky could come up, that would be great too. We light our chalice this morning for our trans and non-binary brothers and sisters, especially those in the military who are being drummed out of existence and drummed out of the military that they've given, in some cases, decades of service to. And we're also honoring the politicians who've been lost to political violence, who were assassinated in Minnesota. State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who are seriously injured. Political violence is something, unfortunately, that seems to be a calling card of Donald Trump. He's a stochastic terrorist, and we've got to try to fight this as best we can. So that's what we light our chalice for this morning. Sorry, affirmation. We believe in love.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth. We believe in helping others.
And service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine.
Now time for all ages.
Thank you. So this morning, I want to tell you a story about freedom, but you kind of have to guess at the end where the freedom part comes in. Okay? So this is a story called Worm Loves Worm by Mike Curato. And I'm going to invite the children to maybe sit right up here on the floor and take a look at the pictures while I'm telling the story. If you'd like to do that, you're welcome to. Henry, do you want to see the pictures? They're right here. And Van will help you turn the pages at the right time, maybe, if you'd like. If you don't want to, it's okay. So, Worm loves Worm. Let's be married, says Worm. Oh, yes, answers Worm. Let's be married. Wait a minute, says Cricket. You'll need someone to marry you. Well, that's how it's always been done. I can marry you. Wait, says Beetle. You've got to have a best beetle. Naturally, that would be me. Well, now can we be married, asks Worm. Well, wait, say the bees. Can we be the bride's bees? Please? Yes, says Worm. And now can we be married? Oh, you'll need to get rings to wear on your finger, says Cricket. That's how it's always been done. But we don't have fingers, says Worm. But wait, says Worm. We could wear the rings around our necks, maybe, like a belt. Oh, wonderful, says Worm. Now can we be married? Well, just make sure that you have a band, so we all can dance at the wedding. But we don't have feet, says Worm. Well, we could just wiggle around like this, says Worm. Oh, fun, says Worm. Now can we be married? Oh, but you still need a white dress and a top hat and a tuxedo and lots of flowers and cake with lots of frosting, say the bees. But we don't have hands to hold things like flowers, and we don't have heads for hats, says Worm. And we only eat dirt, says Worm. Oh, wait, says Spider. I can help you here. I can attach the hat to your head with my sticky web, and I can attach the flowers to your hands. But who will eat the cake? Asked the bees. I can eat the cake, along with Cricket and Beetle, says Spider. What's that, say Cricket and Spider? Oh, nothing, says Spider. Now can we be married? Asks Worm. Oh, but which one of you is the bride? Ask the bees. How can we be the bride's bees if we don't know who the bride is? Well, I can be the bride, says Worm. Well, I can too, says Worm. No, but one of you has to be the groom, or how can I be the best beetle? Asks Beetle. Well, I can be the groom, says Worm. Well, I can too, says Worm. Amazing, says Spider. Really? Asks Beetle and the bees. Wait, says Cricket, this isn't how it's always been done. Well, then we'll just change how it's always been done, says Worm. Oh, yes, says Worm. And so they were married because Worm loves Worm. And thank you all for looking along with that story while we read it. Anyone want to guess where the freedom part comes in? Hey, Van, any idea how that story was about freedom? Was anyone free in that story? You don't have to answer, but if anything jumps to the top of your head, that would be good. Anyone else have an idea where the freedom part comes in there? Who had freedom? The worms had freedom because they knew what they needed, right? They knew they loved each other, so they had freedom. All right, we're going to sing now, and we're going to go downstairs. Thank you.
Each week we have the practice of splitting our offertory plate. Half of what is collected goes to the work of First Parish Brewster, and the other half goes to a worthy organization nominated by members of this congregation. This morning's offering is a split plate with GLAD Transgender ID Project, which offers free resources for transgender people living in New England who seek to update their legal name and gender on federal and state documents, which I did back in October of 2002. Before the offering is taken, I want to say a few words about GLAD, or as it is now called, GLAD Law GLBTQ Advocates and Defenders. Based in Boston, it, as many of you know, represented our own Olinda and Gloria Bailey Davies as plaintiffs in the Goodrich case, in which the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court legalized same-sex marriage. GLAD's Mary Bonotto also subsequently played an important part in the Supreme Court's Obergefell decision, conferring on all of us freedom to marry whoever we choose, regardless of sexual or gender orientation. It is an organization which I am proud to say I have given pro bono legal work in the past. And the transgender part of GLAD is led by Jennifer Levi, who is a previous participant in, or previous award winner. Oh, and Ricky was also represented, sorry. Was also represented by Jennifer Levi.
Jennifer Levi, which won healthcare in Massachusetts.
Correct, sorry. I apologize for that omission. Who, as you now know, is one of the leading advocates for transgender rights in this country and has been doing incredible work in fighting the Trump administration's ongoing attempt to erase us from American life. and is battling with them in courts all across the country. So appropriately, this organization was nominated by, you guessed it, the Welcoming Congregation Committee, of which I am now a member again after a brief or a lengthy absence. And your offering will benefit this organization as well as FPBUU, and so make your checks to FPBU with split plate in the memo line, and write a separate check if you have pledge payments as we're getting toward the end of our fiscal year. Or you can text to give 508-257-7181. And then one more thing, and that's about the music that we're playing this morning. I don't think that's really a protest song that has come and risen to the bubble to the top for the moment that we're in now, fighting for freedom and our democracy. But I hope that there is, because in the past, as those of us who've been living long enough know, there were lots of protest songs, in the 60s. And one of these is the song that we're going to now sing called Chimes of Freedom by Bob Dylan, which has been referred to by many as his Sermon on the Mount. It's not necessarily a protest song, but it's certainly a plea to have empathy for all the marginalized and downtrodden people in this country, and there's certainly lots of those right now, especially, again, trans folks and non-binary folks. So with that, this morning's offering will be gratefully received. Yes.
Far between sundown's finish and midnight's broken toll, we ducked inside the doorway, thunder crashing, as majestic bells of bolts struck shadows in the night, seeming to be the chimes of freedom flashing. Flashing for the warriors whose strength is not to fight. Flashing for the refugees on the unarmed road of flight. And for each and every underdog soldier in the night, we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
In the city's melted furnace, unexpectedly we watched, with faces hidden here while the walls were tightening. As the echo of the wedding bells before the blowing rain dissolved into the wild bells of lightning, tolling for the rebel, tolling for the rake, tolling for the luckless, the abandoned and forsaked, tolling for the outcasts burning constantly at stake. We gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
through a cloud-like curtain in the far-off corner flashed. The hypnotic splattered mist was slowly lifting, and electric lights still struck like arrows, fired but for the ones condemned to drift, or else be kept from drifting. Tolling for the searching ones on their speechless seeking trail, for the lonesome-hearted lovers with too personal a tale, and for each unharmful gentle soul misplaced inside a jail, we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
Starry-eyed and laughing as I recall when we were caught, trapped by no track of hours, for they hang suspended. As we listened one last time, and we watched with one last look, spellbound and swallowed as the tolling ended. Tolling for the aching ones whose wounds cannot be nursed, for the countless confused, accused, misused, strung out ones or worse, and for every hung-up person in the whole wide universe. We gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. We gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. So for my readings this morning, I'd like to read two poems by poets, among other things, who wrote extensively about freedom. The first is entitled For Freedom, and it's by the late Celtic poet, author, and scholar John O'Donohue, who I know some of you know, and I highly recommend his... Aww. No mirth there. Sorry. John O'Donohue. As a bird soars high in the free holding of the wind, clear of the certainty of ground, opening the imagination of wind. Into the grace of emptiness, may your life awaken to the call of freedom. As the ocean absolves itself of the expectations of land, approaching only in the form of waves that fill and please and fall with such graceful elegance, as to make of the limit a sonorous threshold whose music echoes back along the give and strain of memory. Thus may your heart know the patience that can draw infinity from limitation. As the embrace of the earth welcomes all who call death, taking deep into itself the tight solitude of a seed, allowing it time to shed the grip of former form and give way to a deeper generosity that will one day send it forth, a tree into springtime. May all that holds you fall from its hungry ledge into the fecund sea surge of your heart. The second is one of a number of poems on the subject of freedom by the African-American poet, social activist, novelist, and playwright Langston Hughes. This one simply titled Freedom. Freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course. Tomorrow is another day. I do not need my freedom when I am dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. I live here too. I want my freedom just as you. Freedom is a theme running through the entire course of American history, of course. For the revolution, our forefathers and mothers fought to free us from the dictates of a king, to the Civil War fought to free enslaved people. From the freedom riders and the iconic and inspirational leaders of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s, who tried to make good on that promise of freedom, to women's and gay rights movements of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000s that afforded women and LGBTQ plus people freedom over our bodies, the freedom to marry whoever we choose and serve in the military and play sports, no matter our gender. But the freedoms we hold sacred as Americans and UUs are under assault as never before. As Professor Timothy Snyder argues in his important new book, or 2024 book, on freedom, we are at a turning point. Whether we will be free, he says, will depend on us, not just on what we do, but on why we do it, for our ideals and values. Because no individual achieves freedom alone. It will only be by working together to build structures of freedom, both moral and political, for the young as for the old, that we can be free. There are, Professor Snyder argues, 5 different forms of freedom: sovereignty, unpredictability, mobility, factuality, and I think the most important, solidarity. Sovereignty is the learned capacity to make choices. A sovereign person knows themselves and the world sufficiently to make judgments about values and to realize those judgments. A precondition for knowledge of the world, Snyder says, is empathy. When we are able to see other people as fully formed human beings, we begin to gain objective knowledge about the world and see what we have built together in order to become free. If we see others as objects, if we dehumanize them, as many in the MAGA movement have and continued and will continue to do, we will lack essential knowledge not only about them, or about us in that case, but about the world and ourselves. Unpredictability is the power to adapt physical regularities to personal purposes. Free people are predictable to themselves, but unpredictable to authorities and machines. Unfree people are unpredictable to themselves and predictable to rulers. Unpredictability allows us to become our individual selves together. Social media, Snyder argues, makes us more predictable than we need to be and easier, unfortunately, to rule. Online, we declare ourselves, and social media extracts data. We accommodate algorithms, and social media extracts more. The digital world takes hold of our capacities, draws us into its field, and beats us down. It acts, and we react. And we come to treat this as normal. It subdues our will without having a will of its own. We come, as Professor Snyder suggests, predictified. Freedom needs human thinkers, sovereign and unpredictable. Unfreedom needs yielding and predictable creatures, quaking from fear in self-built cages, dreaming of enemies they never meet, and of friends and lovers they do not have. A fearful world of us and them suppresses our capacity to see diversity and express empathy. The more people there are who fear the same things, the more easier it is for tyranny to take hold. Mobility is a form of freedom, Snyder says, when we structure society with mobility in mind. We are more mobile when we can count on certain basic human needs being met. If we knew we had access to health care and a retirement pension, we would be able to live more interesting lives. Lacking such confidence, we are stuck where we are. If you have medical bills you cannot pay, you will be stuck in illness. Dependence on private health care makes it difficult to change jobs. Sadly, this drastic restraint on mobility and thus on freedom is taken for granted in this country. For about 4 decades in the 20th century, America moved towards social mobility. From FDR's New Deal to JFK's New Frontier to LBJ's Great Society, the gap between the richest and the rest was closing, enabling more Americans to join the middle class. Does this sound like a Biden speech? The so-called American dream meant social mobility. Entering the middle class was not only about individual Americans achieving a certain level of prosperity, but about the general possibility that everyone could live unpredictably and end up somewhere else. As Snyder points out, although sometimes presented as a natural result of capitalism, the American dream actually depended on social policies developed after the capitalist collapse of the Great Depression. It lasted until the 1980s, when its origins were forgotten, and Ronald Reagan enthroned capitalism, think Gordon Gekko and greed is good, and trickled down economics as the only source of freedom. The result, quite predictably, was that social mobility was reversed. Union busting, beginning with the air traffic controllers strike in 1981, weakened workers' abilities to bargain. The failure to enforce antitrust laws, which is something that I was involved with in the 80s, suppressed small businesses, and enormous tax cuts for the rich increased the burdens on everyone else. This, of course, is exactly the playbook MAGA and Project 2025 are following. Inequality means immobility, and immobility means unfreedom. The concentration of wealth leads to practices and policies that leave almost everyone less mobile and less free. So we speak of free markets instead of free people. You will recall Mitt Romney's famous quip that corporations are people too, my friend. The problem is that markets cannot be free. Only people can be free. As Snyder points out, freedom is a human value. It can only be recognized and pursued by humans. There is no substitute for freedom, no way to delegate it. The moment we delegate freedom to the market or to anything else, we drift into submission. When people surrender the word free, freedom vanishes from their lives. Free speech in American oligarchy all too often means the privilege of the very wealthy to transmit anonymous, often completely false propaganda and to fund electoral campaigns in which the people have little say. And remember, On Freedom was actually written before the 2024 elections, where Elon Musk poured close to $300 million into electing Donald Trump and demonizing trans people. Unfortunately, Americans tend to think of freedom just as freedom from, Snyder says, as a negative. But conceiving of freedom as an escape or an evasion does not tell us what freedom is, nor how it should be brought into the world. Freedom to, or positive freedom, involves thinking about who we want to become, what we value, and how we can realize those values in the world. Donald Trump, says Snyder, practices a kind of populism that Snyder calls pseudo-populism, in which the pain of immobility is solved by teaching his followers contempt for others and directing their attention to others who suffer more. Refusing to build infrastructure or fix our broken immigration system precisely because it would help other people. Pseudo-populism works because people don't ask for sensible things like roads or railroads because they think if our roads are bad, yours are worse. I am trapped in my social class, but you're trapped below me. It creates barriers that block the many, then define freedom as the absence of barriers for the few, and thus normalizes oligarchy. Faith in freedom, negative freedom, brings staggering inequality, which freezes social mobility. The false claim that everything is getting better for everyone justifies policies that leave most people, worse off. Freedom from, Snyder argues, is not only a conceptual trap, but a political one in that it involves self-deception, contains no program for its own realization, and offers opportunities for tyrants. If we conceive of liberty as freedom from, we don't think expansively enough. We think only of ourselves or about ourselves against the world. For example, Snyder says, negative freedom invites white people to think themselves as self-sufficient, like plantation owners, with no need for government assistance. This failure to see other people as like us, to recognize that we are all born, we all sleep, we all breathe, we all drink, we all get sick, we all age, and we all die, in other words, to practice empathy, leads many white people and other non-black people to reject a right to health care, for example, because it means sharing it with black people. This turn toward oligarchy, Snyder argues, makes mobility very difficult and warps the conversation about freedom. The more concentrated wealth becomes, the more constrained is the discussion until, in effect, the word freedom has come to mean little more than the privilege of a few wealthy Americans not to pay taxes, the power of a few oligarchs to shape the discourse, and the unequal application of the criminal law. The fourth form of freedom is factuality. Facts are a condition of freedom. Facts need us, and we need facts. Negative freedom is enmeshed in lying. Without factuality, every form of freedom is menaced. When we are open to facts, they help us to be unpredictable and therefore free. We cannot enable freedom without institutions, which we cannot build without some sense of reality, shared sense of reality. Values will vary from person to person, and so it must be facts that anchor conversations about what structures we need to build together. Even if we have different values, We will sometimes, nevertheless, have a shared interest in action. But if we have different facts, concord is impossible. We can disagree about how best to get clean water, but if we disagree as to whether lead is poisonous, we won't get far. Facts enable self-defense against the wealthy and powerful. Since they can be known in common, they can enable an individual to seek allies and, along with them, justice. If it is agreed that facts are no different than opinions, the free person has no ground on which to make a stand. If facts do not count, tyrants and oligarchs will always win. Donald Trump tells lies so enormous that his followers cannot imagine that he would deceive them on such a scale. As Snyder says, a big lie is an untruth that is too big to fail. If we lose track of the difference between it is true and it feels right, we are not free. Forces greater than us will hack our brains to make it feel right. As Snyder points out, the playwright Euripides realized more than 2,000 years ago that democracy depends on truthful, risky speech because tyranny is born of lies. As we've seen recently, the hazards of speaking freely are very real. If the American nation is to endure, it must be a land of the free, and for that we will need free speakers. As has often been said, the purpose of freedom of speech is to speak truth to power. We need the forms of freedom, sovereignty, unpredictability, and mobility to become free speakers and good listeners. Getting at the truth requires determined and cooperative work. Factuality, in other words, requires the fifth form of freedom, solidarity, the recognition that freedom is for everyone. Freedom is the value of values, but it does not stand alone, nor can a free person. The practical recognition of these philosophical truths is solidarity. Solidarity closes the circle. None of what we need to become free, including knowledge, is something that we can produce by ourselves. Solidarity is the guiding light of the land of the free and is the mark of a just person. Without solidarity, freedom of speech becomes a parody of itself and used by oligarchical enemies as a slogan to enforce their own dominance and to undermine freedom. So what's the way back toward freedom? To reclaim the future. Snyder argues that we must restore social mobility, but only through the conscious activity of sovereign, unpredictable people. Fear is not enough, he argues, and will not get us to where we need to go. From the most basic facts, we need to build a scaffolding of hope. We need to ground ourselves in history and science to take a turn toward a better future. History is the foundation of mobility and thus of freedom. When we think historically, we see structures inherited from the past, plausible choices in the present, and multiple possibilities for the future. Mobility depends on a sense of the future, which depends on a sense of the past. The same holds true for freedom itself. Schools must teach the hard parts of American history, those censored by cowards as divisive concepts. People who are taught to fear divisive concepts cannot be sovereign. It is perverse to celebrate a past fight for freedom while accepting tyranny in the present. Each epoch demands the courage specific to its challenges. Sovereignty requires that we support children to gain the capacities that will allow them to flourish in freedom. It cannot be done without government and without individuals guiding that government, which is, of course, why the Trump administration wants to abolish Head Start. The same holds true for unpredictability, the second form of freedom. We can be free only if we reimagine and restructure social media, he argues. He suggests that we can keep ourselves unpredictable by meeting people and buying or borrowing books. Better than raging against the machine is reading against the machine. Search engines make us more mechanical. Library shelves make us less so. Staring at screens makes you easier to handle. Listening to people makes it less so. We all need mobility. We need government to build the architecture of the American dream, whether it be autonomous and affordable public universities or functional public roads. Whether government in fact does so will depend on individuals. Free adults will have to support the institutions to help them with their voices, votes, and time. Factuality, too, requires institutions such as local reporting, and this in turn requires ethical commitment, and this is the work of individuals. We can say we believe in truth, we can treat facts as a worthy pursuit, but we need to pay for newspaper subscriptions or support journalists on Substack. Without solidarity, we fail to see others' travails as like our own. Choosing ways to express solidarity, such as the No King protests and gay pride marches we did yesterday, make us freer and help us resist frustration and demoralization. Unitarians have been at the forefront of social change for generations. There were Unitarians, John and Abigail Adams, at the founding of the country. There were Unitarian and Universalist abolitionists. Susan B. Anthony was a Unitarian. There were Unitarians, the Sharps, saving people fleeing Nazi tyranny. There were Unitarian Universalists who were freedom riders. There have been UUs at the Women's March, Black Lives Matter, fighting for trans rights, women's rights, gay rights, civil rights. Whenever there is a call for social justice as UUs, we respond. We champion human rights. We know the worth of our democracy. We have faith in each other. We see the value of each person, even those who fight against us. We are powerful when we believe in our goal. We make change. We hold hope. We answer the call of history. And God knows if there's anything UUs can do, as Frederick Douglass advised, it's agitate, 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 because freedom is worth it. Tough one to give. Now I invite you to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation, followed by some shared silence. Please get comfortable in your seat and take a deep breath with me now. These words blended from some words of Reverend Douglas Taylor and from the Bob Dylan Chimes of Freedom song. We give thanks this morning for the opportunity to again gather together as people in faith in search of meaning and grace and a path towards justice. Some of us here today have barely made it through the week. Life has been hard, and we need the presence and prayers of good people and of Thee to sustain us on our journeys. Some of us here today have arrived excited and curious, looking for new ideas and new opportunities to connect and to build something good and beautiful. Some of us here today have heavy hearts for the suffering happening just beyond our front doors, for the poor, the immigrant, the incarcerated, the unhoused, the disenfranchised and disempowered, the rebel, the rake, the luckless, the abandoned and forsaked, the outcasts burning constantly at stake, the unharmful, gentle souls misplaced inside a jail, the countless, confused, accused, misused, strung out ones, and worse. And for every hung up person in the whole wide universe for whom the chimes of freedom are flashing. We gather this morning as Unitarian Universalists, seeking freedom and liberation for ourselves and for all people. We gather to be co-creators of a sacred space together, guided by the deep values of our faith. We recognize that a faith like ours needs to be enacted, needs to be lived in action. We know that freedom for one of us needs the freedom of all of us, that the freedom of our faith community needs the freedom of all faith communities. We hear our own cries for relief amid our struggles, and they're blended with those from our transgender siblings and from people of color and from the poor and from all those abused and marginalized in our society today. Hear our cries. Be with us in our difficulties. Help us to find the courage to face the continuing injustices of our day. Help us to reach out from our own heartache. Now rise as you're willing or able and sing our closing hymn, and then remain standing for the benediction and for our postlude, which I'm asking you all to help sing. The closing hymn is hymn 151, beautiful song that Nina Simone popularized in our hymnal. Of your neighbor for the benediction. These closing words from Timothy Snyder. Our problem is not the world, our problem is us. And so we can solve it. We can be free if we see what freedom is. We can see creativity in the past, possibility in the present, liberty in the future. We can recognize one another, create a good government, and make our own luck. Let us seize our chance. It may be our last. So now we're going to sing a wonderful song from the civil rights movement that I think is perfectly apropos for today. Again, it's in the hymnal. What number? 169.
Oh,
Go in peace.